world. Can you tell me what is going to happen after 40 years?
We don't know.
40 years later,
Uh-huh.
we'll have 100 cell groups, and we'll have a worship here and there in Houston. We'll send a lot of missionary, and we'll raise many Bible teachers. And your Bible clips, video clips will be popular. Hit maybe million view.
That's 40 years later. How about 100 years later?
Surely I'll go to heaven and stay with Jesus Christ and playing guitar.
At the end of this world, I didn't expect your answer. I expected Sister Judy's answer. I don't know.
Even tomorrow, we don't know.
Yeah, even tomorrow we don't know. When Jesus told this passage to his disciples, he was telling about the temples will be destroyed. And then that really happened after 40 years, approximately 40 years, temple was destroyed. Jesus predicted that they would face the persecution, even death. And it happened. So, as Judy mentioned, we even don't know tomorrow. What would happen tomorrow, we don't know. But as Jesus said, it happened, temple was destroyed, and it happened, the disciples faced severe persecution. And now, what Jesus talking about, the end of this world, Jesus talking about it, so it will come true. Those two events came true, and then the end of the world will come true. Now, the end of the world, mainly from the Bible, three books. This is they call the Olivet of discourse. This is what we are studying. Jesus said on the mountain of Olives, the Olivet of prophecy or Olivet of discourse. And then the book of Daniel, and then the book of Revelation. And then, some few verses from Isaiah, Nehemiah, or, few verses. But these are the major books talking about the end of age, the end of this world. Question 2.
What is the situation in verse 14? When you see the abomination that causes desolation, standing where it does not belong, let the reader understand. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. So Jesus talking about 40 years later, what took place in Israel.
Yeah. The abomination that caused desolation. This is desecrating the holy place. God's holy place was desecrated. It happened, I forgot, BC 160 something, around 160, the Greek general, Greek king, he offered the swine, the pig blood in the altar of the temple. So that was the event one happened. And then the second already happened before when Jesus talked about it. And then AD 70, the Romans invaded. This is the second event. So already twice happened and temple is gone. But also anytime when the holy place is defiled, some reference book says the verse 14, 15, 16, verse 14, 15, 16. This already happened. This already happened by the Roman invasion, so it doesn't apply to us. That's wrong. It's gonna happen anytime. Anytime. It can happen again. It can happen again. Next question.
What is the instruction of Jesus to those who are in Judea? As quickly as possible. How to say? They need to go quickly as soon as possible. Run away. And don't even turn around. Don't even go back to house. Don't even try to get a clothes. Just run away right away.
Right. It shows that the danger will come suddenly without any notice, immediately. So they have no time to go back to get anything. Just get your body out of there. Run to the mountain. It is life and death situation. So you cannot. In Africa, Nigeria, about 200 schoolgirls was kidnapped. And there are few girls survived. They jumped out of the bus or truck. They jumped out of it. And so, few of them, it's like that. And then Jesus says, those who are in Judea, go to the mountain, run to the mountain. And then when the Romans invaded, there is a story that Christians remember this Jesus' word, and they ran to the mountain. And then some book says that 250 or 150, they survived. And Christians listened to Jesus' word, and the early church escaped the Roman destruction. Who are in Judea? Who are those?
Jewish people.
Right, Jewish people. So the persecution will come to the Jews and those Christians who are elected, whose names are written in the book of life. And so target is this war is Jews and Christians, present nation of Israel and Christians. So this is not only given to Christians, also given to Jewish people who live presently in Israel. They need to learn this.
I think this is one of the reasons only Christian church with Jew and Christian Jew. This is one of the reasons they separate. I read a book where the book said because this is one of the main event because Christian abandoned Jerusalem and then the Jew stay there, died. So you betrayer, but they follow Jesus' instruction.
Question 4. Why is it dreadful for pregnant women and nursing mothers?
Because of mobility?
Right. They are not fit to run quickly. So mostly they will be killed. They would become victim. So even the ISIS, they capture women and young girls and women because the men could run quickly, but women, remain in the village arrested and they sell as a slave, sex slaves, they sell. So it is a pregnant woman, nursing mothers will be terrible. What kind of, I didn't put in the question, but what kind of troubles is coming when you see verse 19? Can you add on the question 4? Verse 19, what kind of trouble is coming? According to verse 19.
Verse 19 says, because of those will be days of this distress, unequaled from the beginning. When God created the world until now and never to be equaled again. It will be most severe persecution.
It never been in human history this kind of disaster. It's a tribulation. Tribulation is we have sufferings, right? We have sufferings. More than suffering. More than suffering is tribulation. And then more than tribulation is the great tribulation. So in human history, there never have been such trouble. We studied last week about the birth pain. The word is like birth pain. Birth pain starts with slowly, and then more frequently intensified. Then babies born. And so birth pain, once it starts, it doesn't go easier. It goes harder, intensifies. That's this word, toward the end. Suffering, more suffering, tribulation, The worst suffering is the great tribulation, and Jesus comes, the end of the world. So we are going to study tribulation. I don't know human history from Adam until our present time. Never such terrible thing has happened. What is the worst thing happened in human history?
World War II.
World War II? Yeah, I guess World War II. I mean, when the disease pest swept Europe, 1/3 population died. 1/3 population died. But World War II, maybe the Holocaust, but the Jewish people died during World War II. They don't know exactly how many died, but maybe 4
million.
5 million Jews died. They were just taken away from their home and then went to the gas chamber. And Stalin, when the communism started in Russia, he relocated people. And they just relocate people to Iceland. People starved, and then under the cold and starvation, they say a couple of million people died.
Genocide, Turkish to Armenia.
Yeah.
Christian.
And then presently North Korea. But this tribulation cannot compare all those things that happened in the past. Because, one place say 75% human population will die during this tribulation. So I don't know what it's gonna, be like, but it is just beyond imagination. It is horrible thing that happen. Question 4 and 5.
How long will the tribulation last? 7 years, 30.
This is, let's open, it's too long so I didn't type it. Let's open Daniel chapter 9, verse 24 through 27. Chapter 9, verse 24 through 27.
"77 are decreed for your people and your holy city to finish transgression, to put an end to sin, to atone your wickedness, to bring in everlasting righteousness, to seal up vision and prophecy, and to atone the most holy. Know and understand this, from the issuing of the decree, to restore and rebuild Jerusalem until the atoned one, the ruler, comes, there will be 7 sevens and 62 sevens. It will be rebuilt with the streets and the trench, but in times of trouble. After the 62 sevens, the anointed one will be cut off and will have nothing. The people of the ruler who will come will destroy the city and the sanctuary. The end will come like a flood. War will continue until the end, and the desolation have been decreed. He will confirm a covenant with many for 1 7. In the middle of the 7, he will put an end to sacrifice and offering. And on a wing of the temple he will set up an abomination that causes desolation until the end that his decree is poured out from him.
Yeah. So from this passage, they brought tribulation, it lasts 7 years. So tribulation, suppose this is the beginning of a tribulation, and this is the end of tribulation, and Jesus' second coming. Jesus coming. The end of the world. But they call half the end of half tribulation, they call the great tribulation, because it's the worst, the great tribulation. '19th century, some Bible scholar figured out this is 7 years, total 7 years. I don't understand. We just read it, and then prophecy of Daniel is very accurate. He prophesied the Babylonian kingdom, Medes, Greece, Rome, very accurately. He said that it's going to take us 77. 77. We say 77 doesn't say. He said seven.
7 sevens. So 49.
When is it 77?
70.
77.
7 sevens.
In the Bible, it's a 7. It's a 77. 77.
77.
Yeah. 77. So it is what? 490, right? And also some reference say 77 weeks. So they consider it 490 years, 490 years to complete that Israel people, sin is cleansed. What this Bible scholar figured out was issuing of a decree. From the issuing of a decree, the king's name is Artaxerxes. The edict was decreed 445 BC. And then the Holy One, the most Holy One, deceased. So Jesus' death, from here Jesus' death, somewhere, we don't know, but they think it's AD 29, Jesus died. So these years are 483 years. I calculate many times. It doesn't come out 483 years. I get 473 years. I will argue later on. They said it comes out 483 years. Then 7 years missing, right?
Mm-hmm.
7 years missing. That 7 years, they say this missing 7 years is this years. Because Israel people will be fully recovered. So 483 years is from the king's decree. There's a Persian king returned to ask the exiles go back to Jerusalem and build your country or temple. And then Jesus' death, 29. They say 483. 7 years missing. Those 7 years are these 7 years.
Last
Uh-huh.
end of the
Uh-huh. So one article say 483 God's salvation clock, God's clock stopped. And then the clock started here. The last 1-7 started here. Let me see. They said a lot of scholars agree. Now people just say tribulation 7 years. And I don't agree this 7 years because first of all, when I add it up, it doesn't come out 483, 473. So I don't know where they got the number 483. Plus, in Ezra chapter 1, the King Cyrus asked Jewish people return and build Israel. And that year was the year 539 BC. That's the Babylon was destroyed by the Persian Medes. And then Jerusalem temple by the exile was built 506 BC. So how come they count this one? They have to count this year. So I really don't agree, but I need to study further. A lot of scholars now agree with this 7 years, but I don't agree for that reason. Okay. Question 6.
How long will the great tribulation last?
Yeah, this one, the Great Tribulation. This is 3.5 years. This is very, very clearly written in the Bible. So, because I don't agree, I'm going to erase it. But 3.5 years will be the Great Tribulation. Tribulation here, it is like, earthquakes, tornadoes, drought, famine, and persecutions, and all this is tribulation. Great Tribulation is before Jesus comes, 3.5 years will be the worst time. That's the Great Tribulation. So this is 3.5 years. You have the separate the passage I wrote it down. A time, times, and a half times. Can you read Daniel chapter 7, verse 25?
He will speak against the Most High and oppress his saint and try to change the set times and the laws. The saint will be handed over to him for a time, times, and half of time.
So, a time is 1 year, and times 2 years, and half a time is half a year. So this is 3.5 years, the Great Tribulation. And the next passage, Daniel 12:7b.
I heard him swear by him who lives forever, saying, "It'll be for a time, times, and half a time."
So 3.5 years. Okay. Daniel chapter 12, verse 11.
From the time that the daily sacrifice is abolished and the abomination that causes desolation is set up, there will be 1,290 days,
So,
which is 3 years and a half.
okay, so 1,290 days. It is actually 3.5 years and 30 more days. 30 more days.
Okay.
Okay. Next.
The woman was given the 2 wings of a great eagle, so that she might fly to the place prepared for her in the desert, where she would be taken care of for a time, times and half a time, out of the serpent reach.
Right. Now, Revelation. These are Daniel, right? And then the Revelation also, times and half time, and that's 3.5 years. These are Revelation. When was the Daniel was written? The book of Daniel.
BC 700, 600, 700, 600.
Maybe they said that maybe BC 530, something like that. They don't know exactly, but the Daniel was captive. He went Babylon when he was around like a BC 600, 104 or 5 like that. So this is just the estimate that book of Daniel was written when he was alive. And when was the Revelation written? By John the Baptist?
By John. John,
about,
disciple.
they guess about 80, 90. After
Not John the Baptist. John.
after the Roman persecution, he was in the island of Patmos. Okay, so even though between these two books, there are about 600 years difference, but they have come out same. They're talking about same days. Revelation chapter 11 verse 2, what does it say?
They will trample on the holy city for 42 months.
42 months is calculate. 12 months a year. 3 years, 36 months. 36 plus 6, 42 months is 3.5 years. Revelation chapter 13 verse 5.
The beast was given a mouth to utter proud words and blasphemies, and to exercise his authority for 42 months.
42 months. Okay. Revelation 11, chapter 11 verse 3.
And I will give power to my 2 witnesses, and they will prophesy for 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth.
Yeah. So this is exactly 1,206 days. This is exactly
3.5 years.
3.5 years. So these two books that was written BC 530, this book was written after about 600 later on. They all pointed out the great tribulation will be 3.5 years.
By that, they calculate as 7 years, I think. By that, half is the 3.5, so it will be total 7 years.
The Great Tribulation lasts. Question 7.
In what forms and ways will the Great Tribulation come?
Daniel 12:1.
There will be a time of distress such as has not happened from the beginning of all nations until then.
And also, can you read Daniel chapter 12, verse 11?
Verse 11.
Mm.
From the time that the daily sacrifice is abolished and the abomination that causes desolation is set up, there will be 1,290 days.
Right, okay. So, Great Tribulation start when the daily sacrifice is abolished. Daniel chapter 12, verse 11. So, daily sacrifice abolished. You cannot sacrifice to God anymore. So then, what comes up here is Antichrist start to control. Antichrist, strong Antichrist come and start to control. He make a covenant with the Jewish, right now the nation of Jewish. He made a covenant. So I will help you, so that Jewish agree, so then got the terms. But then suddenly, this Antichrist betrays the Jewish people and then start sacrifice and they control the whole world. So that the Antichrist, start to control, betray Jewish people and start to control the whole world. From that time on, Great Tribulation, beginning, Great Tribulation period starts. Okay, Mark chapter, this is now Jesus says about Great Tribulation. What did Jesus say about, from verse 19?
Because those will be days of distress unequaled from the beginning, when God created the world until now, and never to be equaled again.
Yeah, Jesus says it will be just horrible, beyond description, and human population, 75% will die. Okay, verse 21.
At that time, if anyone says to you, "Look, here is the Christ," or "Look, there he is," do not believe it.
Because the verse 22, false Christ, false prophets will appear, perform signs, miracles to deceive the elect, if that were possible. So, false prophet, false Christ. So there is a religion, as a strong religion will arise, and they perform miracles and deceive. So many people follow this false religion. Let's go back to Revelation chapter 13. Let's look at verse 8.
All inhabitants of the earth will worship the beast, all whose names have not been written in the book of life belonging to the Lamb that was slain from the creation of the world.
8. All inhabitants of the earth. So this will be world religion. Will worship the beast. So in Revelation, the Antichrist is called the beast. And then in Gospel Mark, Jesus calls Antichrist. It's the same, the beast. All inhabitants of the earth, so whole world join this false religion. And verse 13.
And he performed great and miraculous signs, even causing fire to come down from heaven to earth in full view of men.
Jesus already said they will perform miracles, right? So Revelation is more in detail. What kind of miracles?
Causing fire to come down.
Fire coming down from heaven in full view of man. When the people see, whoa, they are so, awestruck. He deceived the inhabitants of the earth. So, verse 15.
He was given power to give breath to the image of the first beast, so that it could speak and cause all who refused to worship the image to be killed.
Okay, so false religion. And then people, you join this religion, you worship this image, or you refuse, you are killed. You join this religion, you will live. You refuse, and you will be killed. So, do you think Christians will join that false religion?
I think many.
But Christians who refuse, they die. Many will die. And then many will turn to bow down to the false religion. Verse 16.
He also forced everyone, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on his right hand or on his forehead.
So then, people in the whole world, the Antichrist will give a mark in his right hand, on his right hand or forehead. It is worldwide ID system. You join this religion, then you get the ID. You are the member or you worship that false religion. If you don't join, you don't have the mark. And then verse 17.
So that no one could buy or sell unless he had the mark, which is the name of the beast or the number of his name.
So then those who don't join this false religion will have cannot buy or cannot sell, cannot do business. Will have a very suffer, very and then when you read the verse 5,
Which one?
the same
Revelation?
chapter, verse 5.
The beast was given a mouth to utter proud words and blasphemies and to exercise his authority for 42 months.
The Great Tribulation, 3.5 years, is ruled by this Antichrist. So it's hard to imagine, but this will be this Antichrist ruled the whole world, politics, economy, religion, demanding people worship this religion or be killed. That's gonna be 3.5 years. The worst thing happened in this world. Okay, question 8.
How will God show his love for his elect during the Great Tribulation? Mark chapter 13:20. Saying, if the Lord had not cut short those days, no one would survive. But for the sake of the elect, whom he has chosen, he has shortened them.
Shorten that. So God, for the sake of the elect, those elect are those whose names are written in the book of life. So for the sake of the elect, God shortened those days. And then Revelation chapter 12 verse 14 is in the, no, I 프림이라.
Oh. The woman was given the 2 wings of a great eagle so that she might fly to the place prepared for her in the desert, where she would be taken care of for a time, times and half a time out of the serpent reach.
So the woman is representing the God's, God's people, and she was given wing. So she went to the desert, and then where she would be taken care of for 3.5 years, and serpent cannot reach. The Antichrist cannot reach her. And this shows that God will protect his elect. When the Romans persecuted Christians went underground, and then even Roman soldiers couldn't enter there. And also when the Muslims took over Turkey, the Christians went underground, the same. And then, so we don't know, but God is protecting his people in this tribulation period. Question 9.
What signs will appear in the sky right before Jesus' coming? But in those days following that distress, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from the sky, and the heavenly bodies will be shaken.
This is the same as Isaiah chapter 13 verse 10. Jesus quoted from Isaiah. And the sky, the sun and moon and stars changing. It becomes dark and doesn't give any light. So how dark is going to be? Even, when it's gonna rain and then sky is covered with a dark cloud, it's so dark. But sun doesn't give light, moon doesn't give light. How dark is going to be? It's maybe like this outside right now. It's very, very dark. And so even during daytime, it's gonna happen. Sky will turn to darkness. Question 10.
Describe the coming of Jesus in verse 26, 27. 26. At the time, men will see the Son of Man coming in clouds with great power and glory, and he will send his angels and gather his elect from the four winds, from the ends of the earth to the ends of the heavens.
Amen. So, outside, because it's so dark, and then glorious, bright light is shining, and then Jesus coming in a clouds with great power and glory. And this is like all men on earth can see his coming. And so he sent his angels going all over the world, gather the chosen ones, those who, went through the tribulation and kept their faith, who didn't have the mark of the beast, who didn't join this false religion. Okay. So this is the final victory and the end of the world. The world will end. Question 11.
Why did Jesus tell these ahead of time? So be on your guard. I have told you everything ahead of time. To be ready.
We know hardship is coming. We know what it is going to be. The tribulation, the great tribulation coming in the form of religion, in the form of a false religion. And it will be worldwide religion and kill people. Join this religion or be killed. That kind of religion. And Jesus telling, watch out. So, be on your guard. I have told you it's going to happen. And then they can have a discernment. It says, I read Revelation several times to prepare this Bible study. But those whose names are written in the book of life, they don't get mark, beast mark. And those names are not written in the book of life. They join this false religion because they don't have them. Okay, so let's read Revelation chapter 14, verse 17. I didn't write it here. Revelation chapter 14, verse 17.
Another angel came out of the temple in heaven, and he too had a sharp shekel.
No, that's,
Sickle. 17? 14, 17?
yeah.
That's right.
Okay. I made it wrong. Okay. 14:12. Sorry, it was my mistake.
This
14,
calls
12.
for patient endurance on the part of the saint who obey God's commandments and remain faithful to Jesus.
You know, how much they have to tremble, fearful, and suffering. Need great endurance on the part of a saint who remain faithful to Jesus. So Jesus said, he who stands firm to the end. Also, let's read Revelation chapter 7, verse 9.
After this I looked, and there before me was a great multitude that no one could count, from every nation, tribe, people, and language, standing before the throne and in front of the Lamb. They were wearing white robes and were holding palm branches in their hands.
Yeah. Those are who survived the great tribulation, who kept their faith, and then from all nations, all languages, all tribes, those saved. And there were so numerous, countless, they were worshiping God in heaven. Okay, let's do the last question.
What signs of tribulation do you see in present time? We hear the wars and the rumors of wars, and then disasters, lots of earthquakes, as I told you about the tornadoes. And then actually I heard some Canada, I don't know exactly, but I got the rumor, but when they buy or when they sell, they got some cord on their hand. So I don't know it happened, but one of my friends told me, and then is it really going on in your area? She is asking to me. So she read a news article from Canada. In some area, they got some cord, so they can, I don't know, they can enter, they can do something with that cord.
You know, Jesus said, watch the big tree, and then the new, green, young, new shoot coming out, then summer is near. So when we see any signs of this tribulation, we know, it's near. So right now in our times, persecution against the Jewish and against Christians are rising. And these are clear sign to me, And the Jewish writer, writer.
Josephus.
Yeah, no, not Josephus. In France, is a cartoonist. He's a Jewish man, cartoonist. He was assassinated, and then following that right away, some stores, Jewish stores in France, was attacked, and several people died. And the Israel government offered to come to Israel. And so right now, Jewish people are returning to Israel because it is now getting unsafe.
Not only France, the England,
Mhm.
and lots of Jewish people suffered from the terrorist ISIS.
There are about 50 million Muslims in Europe, and so anti-Semitism is growing, and Jewish people are returning to Israel. But I read it somewhere, I couldn't find. I thought it was in the Revelation, so I read it to find that verse. I couldn't find it. I read Daniel a few times. I couldn't find it, but I remember I read it somewhere. All this in the last tribulation, the Jerusalem is Israel surrounded, and then attack, and that was the last thing, and then God intervened. Mount Olivet that divided the land, God divided the land, and then God intervened and rescued Israel. That's the last thing in the tribulation. But I couldn't. Somewhere I read it, but I cannot find it. But that's written in the Bible somewhere. But we have a really hatred toward the Jewish, hatred toward the Christian is growing. This is a sign of tribulation. But in all this, God is in control, and victory is in Jesus, because Jesus is coming, claim the victory. And for our side, we know it's gonna be hard, but victory is there. When you know the victory is there, we can endure, we can go. I mean, the end is, I'm gonna lose it, then we will be very discouraged. But we know for sure victory is there, then we can endure, we can be patient, and we will claim victory. It is really hard battle. And Revelation say this is a battle between God and Satan. It is a final battle between God and Satan. Okay. Today's Bible study is up to you.